Welcome to episode 3 of Bragging Rights. This week I've got Ragnar Arneson with me, and we played a 2,000 point tournament style game of 8th edition. As usual, we both brought lists that would comp, somewhere decent. They're definitely not over the top, but we made sure that they're not fluff bunny lists either. This week I brought my 2,000 point Guzzla's Brew Boyz list. It's actually the exact same list, item for item, that I ran in episode 2 against Josh Sanders. For my characters, I brought a Black Orc BSB with the Helm of Fortune, which requires successful wounds to be re-rolled. I brought my level 4 Shaman with a Power Scroll and the Guzzla's Battle Brew, which of course is essential for the theme of my army. And I brought a little Spider Rider who had the one-hit Wallopa, ignores ward saves trinket, and Zorga's Collar. I brought 2 units of goblins, both 30 strong. You notice the front rank of the guys with bows has the gold miniature from last episode, so it was pretty nice to be able to pull that out. I put nets in both units, and I gave the bow Night Goblins 1 fanatic and gave 2 to the spear Night Goblins. Full commands for both units, of course. I brought a big bunker of big uns to hold my characters and also to carry Mork's Spirit Totem. I've got 30 of them, and with strength 4, toughness 4, and +1 strength on the first turn of combat, they're a pretty nasty close combat unit. Which is funny because in 7th edition they were nearly useless because they were base leadership 7, and all you have to do is either fail a fear check and flee from something or lose a round of combat, and then you require double 1s to do anything. But now they're awesome. For fast attack I brought 10 Spider Riders with full command and bows, and 6 Savage Boar Boys drinking some Guzzla's Battle Brew. I brought a Standard Bearer and a Musician with them, no champion. I also have, as you can see in the distance, my Countess Rock Lava, which Stone Throwers are awesome in any army that can take them. And I brought Kirk Ferguson, as usual. I don't think I'll leave home without him. I was really swearing up and down that Giants were terrible, but I'm starting to have fun with this guy. They are very easy to kill, and they die to any list that has crossbows, handguns, bows, you name it. They're going to die if they get shot at, but they're really fun if they make it to close combat. This week, as I said, I've got Ragnar Arneson playing with me. I've known him for a few years. He's actually the guy who got me into competitive gaming back in Adepticon of 2007, I think. We're on 2 different teams together, the Lost Legion for Fantasy and Cold Steel Mercs for 40k. So why don't you talk a little bit about the hobby and then get into your army.
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. Let's see. I've been playing since 1999. I got dragged into Fantasy originally by a couple of buddies of mine who I played D&D with, who were really into painting miniatures. And I was originally into Fantasy, but that was 5th edition, and after a few games of it, it was so one-sided and unfun that really I couldn't get my friends to want to play with me anymore. I actually bought these same Wood Elves then. I got a lot of these models actually secondhand off Bartertown back in the day from a few different people. A number of them have been retouched since then, but that's what I started with. Anyway, like I said, we didn't find 5th edition very fun at all, so I moved over to 40k pretty fast, and I played 40k primarily until about 6th edition Fantasy came out, and I've been playing both of those pretty steadily since then. I play pretty competitively. It's always been leagues and tournaments pretty much since I started. Like my 4th or 5th game of 40k was when I started with the Daka Daka League, back when they were at the Wizards Tower before the Daka Daka store opened, when the Daka Daka website was brand new. I'm also a moderator on the Daka Daka website since 2001, I think. That's forever ago. Anyway, but I really enjoy competitive gaming. I enjoy the whole social aspect of it, and a lot of systems I like playing in. So that's me.
So yet again, the guest on this episode has been a person who's played 40k and Fantasy a lot longer than I have, and sometimes I feel like I've been in the hobby a long time, but then I realize that a lot of people got into it, when they were a lot younger than when I got into it.
That's about right, though I'm pretty old, so that's not that much younger. But yeah, no, it's not like you're exactly behind. Anyway, talking about the army real quick. This is my Three Kindreds war host, giving reference to the fact that there's about 3 different sets of kind of different models in here. It's all pretty much old stuff, 80s or 90s vintage. You can see the different units all through it. It's kind of a mixed traditional Wood Elf army, very guerrilla warfare, kind of get around your flanks, shoot you up, soften you up for the charge, try to get the flank charges or the multiple charges where I can. Not a huge lot of unit strength, gotta hit and do the damage with wounds, not just static res. And if I roll badly, I'm gonna pretty much fold, but usually I roll okay.
It's kind of standard Wood Elves as they've been for the last 2 editions, so...
So, looking at the army, we'll start with, I guess, the heroes, characters. I've got a level 4 Spellweaver with the Stone of Rebirth and a Dispel Scroll. Hopefully get some good magic and some magic defense, although she can be a bit fragile. I took Beasts for this game, and we'll have lores later. I have the old Scarlock model from the 1980s, is playing the part of an altar noble with light armor, Sword of Might, Annoyance of Netlings, and the Dragonbone Gem. The Netlings, if you're not familiar with Wood Elves, are the you only hit me on 6s in a challenge. And the Dragonbone Gem is one of the new generic items, like 5 points. It's a 2-up ward save versus flaming attacks. The BSB is a noble with light armor, Aziendi's Bane, which is the cheap 10-point magic bow that you pretty much just take so that a BSB can have the Hail of Doom. And the Hail of Doom.
Oh, I didn't realize that he didn't come with a bow.
No, the BSB unfortunately loses the bow because of the lame old 6ed era BSB weapons restrictions.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
But they let you take any. You can still take any magic weapon. So you take the 10-point cheap magic bow just to give you access to the Hail of Doom. And the last character I just painted up yesterday, actually, you can see the new model, the one recent vintage model in the army is the Branch Wraith. Just a simple Branch Wraith with the Cluster of Radiance. So give me a little more hand-to-hand punch to go with my Dryads, and give me an extra Dispel die, because that's always good. You can see also the Eagle hanging out with them too. Great Eagle's good. I need to paint up some more now that there aren't the 2 only rare slots. You know, I could have a whole flock of them.
You can still only have 2 eagles.
The maximum of 2 of any rare slot?
Yeah, until you become a Grand Army.
Fair point, fair point. But I could still take 2 and have a tree man or a unit of Way Watchers or something else.
Right, yeah.
Whereas before it was like if you wanted to take 2 eagles, you weren't taking anything else rare. So I've got a little more flexibility now, so I'll probably paint up another. Let's see, what else is in the army? I've got 3 units of Dryads, 1 10 strong, 2 8 strong, which is the minimum. I've got 3 units of Archers. I've got 1 10 strong, and that's actually the ancient, like mid-80s circa Scarlock's Wood Elf Archer Regiment of Renown from back in the day, including their original standard bearer, Kyra Stormwitch, I think might be her name. She was a wizard and a standard bearer in like 2nd edition or 3rd edition, but she's just my standard bearer in this list. Again, 2 other units of 10 archers with no standards or command. I probably should get around to adding musicians to them one of these days, because musicians are awesome.
Well, the banners are pretty awesome for Blood and Glory as well.
Yeah, they'd be handy.
And they're only 25 points, not a big points investment.
Yeah, you're not losing that much, even if you're, it's just another 12 points, the same price as another archer. I'm also running 2 units of War Dancers for a little more hand-to-hand punch, and of course as bodyguards for characters. Unit of 7, the dark-painted ones, and unit of 6, the lighter ones. Also for handy goodness, I've got 3 Treekin using old school Treemen models. Big solid metal chunks, but much shorter than the modern Treeman. So
yeah, they're about appropriately sized for the Treekin.
Yeah, I need to trade or eBay up like 3 more old ones to have a proper smashy unit of 6.
Yeah, if anybody out there has some old Treemen for trade, email BraggingRights, WHFB@gmail.com. That's BraggingRights, Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And we both have quite a big collection of old models. We might be able to find something you might want to trade for them.
And just to round out the list, I believe the last thing I didn't mention yet was the Wild Riders. I'm using, again, the old, like, 5th Ed era Glade Rider models, metal on the old Elven Steeds. Not 100% WYSIWYG, but shield and mounted adds up to the same armor save as the light armor and mounted that the Waters are supposed to have. They do have spears, so they're appropriate. We've got musician and standard. Standard I took for them. The only command model in the whole army are the musician and standard there, and the standard in the archer unit. The standard is the Gleaming Pennant. There's a nice cheapo 5-point banner. It allows you to reroll your first leadership test, which I took primarily as a hedge against blowing a march test, because they're often operating on the flank, and they've got a base move of 9, so they're going to scoot around people and set up flank and rear charges. But if you blow the leadership test at an inopportune moment, it can really suck. And this just gives you that one reroll. For 5 points, it's dirt cheap. And on leadership 9, you're probably not going to fail it more than once a game anyway.
Well, next we had spells to roll up. I rolled, I don't remember, I think I rolled a 6, a 4, and a 1, and then rolled a second 1. So I was able to switch out one spell for a spell of my choice. So of course I grabbed Gork's Warpath. This way I have a spell that can grab anything on the tabletop, no matter if I'm in line of sight, and do D6 strength 6 to it. And I also have my big nasty, which is Wah. Every model in my army moves 2d6 towards the enemy. I get always strikes first and hatred. It is ridiculously awesome. The other two spells I knew when I rolled them up wouldn't really come into play. Fist of Gork is terrible against his army, and Gaze of Mork, maybe I'd use it here and there situationally.
Here's Lyra, my Spellweaver. I took Beasts. I'm only like 5 games into 8th edition, and I'm still feeling my way through the new lores and everything. I do kind of like Beasts because it allows you to buff up units and characters in an offensive way, not just a defensive way like the toughness boosts in Life. Unfortunately, I've only got access to Beast Life and Heavens for a level 4, which isn't a lot. Anyway, so the spells I got were the Wissen's Wild Form, which is kind of the go-to, and that's another big reason to take Beasts over Life, in my opinion, because +1 Strength Toughness for a unit is a lot nicer than just like a 5-up ward or 5-up regen. I think that Life gives you for the caster and her unit, which, since I never want her in combat, is not too handy. Whereas Wissen's Wild Form, 12-inch or 24-inch range if you cast it at the higher range, to get it +1 Strength Toughness can be critical. Savage Beast of Horos is +3 strength and attacks for a character within, I think, 12 inches, or if you boost it, all characters within 12 inches. I have this vague, sinister plan to take a list with several branch rates at some point, because they're like 65 points base, they're dirt cheap, and then make them 6 attacks at strength 7 at some point. So that'd be a fun combo. So again, another nice thing with this. Curse of Vanir, which is a cool spell. I just tried out for the first time actually last night in a different game. Is a hex spell, makes a unit get -1 to hit in shooting and close combat, and they treat all terrain except impassable as dangerous and fail it on a 1 or a 2. So you can really slaughter a unit trying to move through terrain, which is pretty good synergy with Wood Elves, because you're usually trying to move around the forests and things. Last one, of course, is Transformation of Kadon, which is the big spell. Transform yourself into a Hydra or a Dragon or Manticore or something. I'd like to bust that out at a good moment, but it's a little tough because your caster's pretty fragile.
So we rolled up a scenario and got Dawn Attack, which was really great because we haven't played this scenario yet on the show. We set up the terrain alternating using just the terrain I had in my box. We weren't doing the random generated terrain. We did generate the number of terrain elements to place, and I rolled a 6 + 4. You know, we brought in 10 pieces. We've got 4 gray hills there, 2 forests, a building, a marsh, some obstacles, and a river, and then at the end Ragnar placed his free Wood Elf forest. I chose the table side that's nearest the right side of the picture, and Ragnar was on the far side with the pile of junk. We're playing up in the attic today. The lighting isn't perfect, but it did pretty well for us today.